Warning: some of the stories you are about to hear may be gruesome and disturbing. If you'd rather not hear this, I encourage you to check out any of my other stories. If you stay, just know that you've been warned. Number 1. On Friday, May 30th, 2014 in Wisconsin, Peyton Leutner, age 12, was invited by her friend Morgan Geyser, age 12, to a sleepover along with their new friend Anicia Weir, age 13. They made plans to have the sleepover on Friday, and then go to the nearby forest to play hide-and-seek on Saturday. Peyton had no idea that her two friends had a secret, terrible plan they worked out together. This game of hide-and-seek had actually been a premeditated crime that Morgan and Anissa were looking forward to carrying out. Morgan and Anissa had become completely obsessed with the creepypasta story about Slenderman. They believed that Slenderman was communicating with them and wanted them to become proxies or puppets for him. They also believed the only way to make this happen was to complete an initiation ritual that required a human sacrifice. On May 30th, 2014, the three girls went into the forest to play their game. Morgan started counting as Peyton and Anissa went to hide. While Peyton was hiding and playing with some flowers, Anissa and Morgan found her and pushed her to the ground. Morgan took the kitchen knife that she had taken from home and stabbed Peyton 19 times. The wounds covered her stomach, arms, and legs, only barely missing a major artery near her heart. Just before the attack, Morgan was heard saying, "Don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat." Unfortunately, Peyton believed that Morgan and Anissa were her best friends and had only wanted to have fun that day. Many people who knew them have said that the three girls were always together and that they seemed to be such good friends. After they finished attacking Peyton, they left her in the forest to die while they went to a local Walmart and cleaned up. They were later picked up by police while sitting in the grass near an entrance to the freeway. Amazingly, with all her injuries, Peyton had crawled onto the nearby road and was discovered by a passing cyclist. She also had the strength to stay awake long enough to tell the police what happened before going into surgery. Thankfully, Peyton survived and is alive today, surrounded by her loving family. While we all really enjoy good creepy stories and the community that surrounds it, it is a terrible and disgusting thing to actively harm another person. People who do this do not only hurt those they attack, but the community of people who actively engage in contributing content. My thoughts and hopes are with Peyton and her family. I am so glad that she is okay and able to move forward in her life. Peyton's family have set up a GoFundMe that I've linked in the description. If you would like to help Peyton, please visit the link below. I'm sure the family would appreciate any and all help we're able to provide. If you'd like to know more about her story, I've also put a link in the description to that as well. Number 2. On Sunday, June 3rd, 2012, around 10 p.m., police received a call from a man saying his brother was threatening to injure himself with a knife. When the police arrived, they learned that the man with the knife was named Carter. Carter had barricaded himself in his own room. Police then kicked the door down and found Carter in the corner holding a knife and a hammer. After the police entered the room, Carter immediately started shouting at them and began stabbing himself in the stomach dozens of times. Officers then noticed that his intestines started coming out of his wound. Carter then started to throw his own flesh and intestines at the officers as they tried to approach and help him. Police then decided to back away as Carter was not only throwing his own flesh and intestines at them, but he was also swinging the knife he had in his hand, and he refused to drop it. The officers tried to pepper spray him, which didn't really work. They then tried to spray water in his face, which only seemed to wash the blood away. They didn't know what else to do, so they called in SWAT as Carter sat in the corner, staring at the police the whole time, waiting for them to make the next move. When SWAT arrived, they fired 13 40mm non-lethal sponge rounds at Carter's thighs and hands. Even though being hit by one round is like being hit by a fast baseball, Carter did not drop his knife. SWAT said he was screaming and wanted to commit suicide. He had yelled at them saying, "I'm going to die today. I'm sorry, but I'm going to heaven." Officers wanted to help him but didn't want to get hurt in the process. So they devised a plan to use a ladder to pin Carter down and then use dog snares to handle his hands. Once they had him under control, officers then dove in and grabbed his legs, putting him in handcuffs. SWAT doctors and paramedics quickly took over to help Carter and his extensive wounds. He was immediately taken to the hospital where he went into emergency surgery and remained in critical condition for a couple of days. Despite many people saying so, police stated that Carter was not under the influence of bath salts or any other drugs. However, it was later learned that Carter was emotionally disturbed. Apparently, he had a history of disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. He also had been previously taken to the hospital for psychiatric reasons in the past. Thankfully, Carter survived, but was not charged with anything after the incident. A link to his story is in the description below. Number 3. It was February 19th, 2013 when the 21-year-old Canadian student, Elise Lam, was found in the water tank on top of the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. While the mystery behind her story could fill a video all by itself, I thought I would at least mention it here because of how high on the list this was. The maintenance worker for the hotel discovered her body in the water tank after guests had made complaints about the water. Many guests said that their water was either black or had a sweet taste to it. Elisa had been reported missing on January 31st after she was scheduled to check out of the hotel. Almost 2 weeks went by when police decided to release the video of the last time she was seen. The video shows her exiting and re-entering the elevator. She also seemed to be talking and making odd hand gestures in the hallway after trying to get the elevator to move. She is also seen hiding in the elevator from someone she seems to think is right outside of it. Many people are still arguing as to how Elisa died, and the circumstances that led up to her passing. There is a wide range of speculation. Some say that she was bipolar and could have committed suicide. Many who were close to her said that she wouldn't do that, and argued that she had a good support system that wasn't seeing any red flags. Others are making the case that there may have been paranormal involvement, pointing to the video and specifically mentioning her odd behavior, her hand movements, and the fact that she appears to see someone or something the camera isn't picking up. They also point out how many commonly report paranormal activity in the hotel. The TV show American Horror Story Hotel is loosely based on the Cecil. Still, some say that the history of the hotel's many deaths and the killers who lived there could indicate she was murdered. She was found in the water tank with her clothes and personal things floating nearby. The autopsy reported no evidence of physical trauma. She also tested negative for alcohol and drugs in her system. The cause of death was later ruled to be accidental drowning. One of the creepiest parts of Elisa's passing is the odd similarities to the 2000 horror film Dark Water. The plot points of the movie that are similar is the mother in the movie, Dahlia, has a daughter named Cecilia, but is called Cecil for short. Dahlia complains about the dark water that is leaking from the ceiling from the apartment above theirs. She also complains about the water quality in her apartment that at times is either black or sweet tasting. Later in the movie, it's found out that Dahlia's upstairs neighbor's daughter Natasha was found in the water tank that sits on top of the building. Her body was turning the water in the complex black and sweet tasting. Dahlia and Cecil began to be attacked by Natasha's ghost. Dahlia dies in a flood and is seen walking the halls with Natasha. Cecil and her father leave the complex taking the elevator. On the way down, Dahlia's ghost begins to braid her daughter Cecil's hair, telling her she will always be with her. Keep in mind, this movie was made back in 2005, and Elise Lam wouldn't pass away in the Cecil until 2013. While the work of local police and the autopsy report sufficiently determine how she passed, it still leaves many unresolved issues that have not been answered. How did she get to the roof when the only doors and stairs to it are locked? Only staff would have the keys and passcodes to get past them. Besides that, how did she even get into the water tank as it required a ladder? A ladder was never found near the tanks or on the roof at all. Then there's the issue of the tank lids. The lids are extremely heavy and have to be removed completely from the tank, making it almost impossible to replace it by herself if she was already inside the tank. Her case is still under investigation, but no new info has been found. To this day, the circumstances of Elisa's passing are still unclear. There is one other odd thing about her case. Elisa had a Tumblr and was actively posting to it regularly. She was reported missing on January 31st, 2013, but posts to her account continued. The day she disappeared, a picture was posted showing a man walking up the side of a building to the roof. Days into her disappearance, many odd pictures were posted along with quotes that many find slightly disturbing. Two of which said, "In truth, you like the pain. You like it because you believe you deserve it." Another one said, "I take pleasure in my transformation. I look quiet and consistent." After she was found dead on February 19th, her Tumblr was still being updated with pictures and quotes. The only access to her account was through her phone, which was missing from her belongings and never recovered. You can check it out for yourself by following the link in the description below, along with the link to the story of how she died. Number 4. On Saturday, May 5th, 2012 in Brazil, the Santos family was getting ready for their son Kelvy's unfortunate funeral. He was 2 years and 7 months old at the time. According to the father, at around 3 p.m. during the funeral, Kelvy woke up and lifted the lid to his coffin. He looked at his father and said, "Father, I want water." His family had said that he would repeatedly appear to move during the funeral. Just a few days before the incident, Kelvy had passed away due to breathing complications from pneumonia. The hospital that treated Kelvy had released him to his parents and put him in an airlocked bag. He stayed in the bag for a little over 2 hours. The parents had taken him directly to the funeral home that would be taking care of his wake. Seconds after Kelvy lifted the lid to his own coffin and asked for water, he laid back down and appeared to fall asleep. His parents rushed him to the hospital again, where doctors told the family that he had for sure passed away this time. The Santos family is not sure how this could have happened, and the doctors that treated him are shocked. According to the hospital, during his initial stay while being treated for pneumonia, Kelvy went into cardiac arrest. Staff immediately tried their best to help him, but despite their efforts, he died. Those who helped witnessed him pass, and the doctors give the time of death. His death certificate showed he died of respiratory failure, pneumonia, and dehydration. The family believes the hospital failed in some way, as there is no explanation for his sudden awakening. They tried to sue, but the case was later dismissed after an investigation showed no error on the hospital's part. It is still unclear how he dies in the hospital, then spends over 2 hours in an airlocked body bag, went through the normal funeral procedures, and still woke up the next day 15 hours into his own funeral to then lift the lid of his own coffin and ask for water. How was he even able to speak? How did he wake up at all, only to then die moments later again? The family was deeply disturbed by the events that surrounded their son's passing, and have never been given any answers that would give them peace. A link to the story is in the description below. However, it is in Portuguese from the local news and will need to be translated. Number 5. This last story is a personal one, as I lived next door to the family this happened to. I wanted to share it because it was truly terrifying to me when I was a child. I went to school with one of the family's 2 sons and was really good friends with him. I would also frequently go over to his house and play games and hang out. On April 24th, 1998, Dan McKay and his wife Debbie were home in their house on Doane Street in Fremont, California. Apparently, during the trial, it was said that the couple were having marriage issues and they had filed for divorce. It has not been formally made clear why it happened, but while Debbie was in the couple's master bedroom, Dan McKay came up from behind Debbie and hit his wife in the head several times with a baseball bat. When he was done, he washed Debbie's body in the bathtub and then wrapped her body in blankets and sleeping bags. My family and I were outside setting up for a garage sale we were going to have the next day, when we noticed him put a large object in the back of his pickup truck. Later, we would find out that that was the body of his dead wife. He then drove his truck some 23 miles away in Mountain View, then drove 37 miles to the coast into Santa Cruz, where he dumped Debbie's body in a ravine. He pulled over on the freeway with blood on his clothes and on the side of his truck. Highway Patrol found him and took him in for questioning, where he later admitted to murdering his wife. During the trial, Dan's lawyer made the case that Debbie had been flirting with other men after losing weight and getting certain body enhancements. They also made the case that she had frequent mood swings and affairs. It was for these reasons that Dan's lawyers said he reacted in a crime of passion. The district attorney said, however, that Dan killed his wife in premeditated cold blood. He also made the case that Dan had begun a romantic relationship with a Texas woman online that was failing as well. This made him angry, and the guilt of it drove him to plan his wife's murder. It was a terrible thing to happen to my friend's family. I remember wanting to talk to him and see if he was okay. I found out later that he and his siblings were with his grandparents at the time it happened, so fortunately, they weren't home to witness their father's crime. In the end, the district attorney said it best when he said, "None of Debbie's actions should have led to her being killed." I remember news vans swarming the block we lived on the next day, asking everyone questions. The police told us not to answer any of them. I hope in some way that my friend and his siblings were able to move on in life. He had a very loving pair of grandparents that I know would do their best to care for them. But I know that the loss of a parent, especially in the manner that it happened for them, is something that some people are never able to recoup from. I put a link to the news article regarding this story in the description below.